Hello everyone, and welcome to my Soap Twist 24 channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Brooke and Ridge talk about Hope and Liam's forthcoming wedding at Forrester, but Eric's position remains a source of concern. They discuss Ridge's motives for wanting Eric to retire, and Brooke inquires whether he regrets his actions. Ridge grunts that he was attempting to do the correct thing. Does he regret it? He isn't sure. Ridge made the decision to ensure his father's well-being, although it may not have been the best choice. He recalls how they almost lost Eric, and he thinks about it every day. The workload is unrelenting. Brooke explains that her ex-husband lives for that. Ridge hopes that someone will love him enough to help him depart when the time comes. Eric's regret at the Forrester mansion. Donna tries to play up the nice stories about Eric's job, but he remains dissatisfied now that it has ended. He wonders if Ridge was correct and his time is up. He admits that following the party, he allowed his emotions to take over. Eric apologizes for some of the things he said to Ridge. Donna tries to persuade Eric that he's as good as ever and encourages him to show Ridge his creations. Eric believes his son is uninterested and is more concerned with his own health. Donna advises spending more time together. They flirt and canoodle, and Eric acknowledges that traveling with his wife sounds appealing. Maybe Ridge is simply watching out for him. At Brooke's, Hope and Liam discuss Eric's retirement. She shrugs and says it's time to pass the torch, to which Liam adds that it's an exciting new chapter for everyone. They'll start it off with their wedding tomorrow. They are confident that Brooke and Beth will create a one-of-a-kind and memorable ceremony. They discuss Beth's lack of ease around Sheila. Hope wants her to know she can share her thoughts and that they will listen. She really doesn't want to get into it with her dad again because he believes she has changed. Liam observes that she nearly sacrificed her life to save Steffi's. Hope knows, and they're all grateful. But this is what Beth wants, and they must respect it. Beth enters and says she's ready to marry them tomorrow. Breaking bad news at Deacon's house. He and Sheila are saddened that Eric is retiring. She reflects that she once married the Forrester, but the man sitting next to her is the only one for her right now. The conversation goes to his daughter's wedding and what Sheila will wear. She's thrilled and can't wait to be on his arm. Sheila keeps saying that the wedding is the perfect chance to put everything behind them. This will be their first sharp family event. She intends to show them all how powerful and happy they are together. Deacon sighed, noting that Liam and Hope should receive more attention. They're calling the shots tomorrow. Sheila thinks he's in a mood. Deacon does not want to upset her, and he hates to say it, but she has not been invited to the wedding. Sheila starts ranting, but Deacon tells her that it is not his decision. Liam, Hope, and Beth created the guest list, but her name is not on it. The final scenes at the Forrester estate. Eric discusses Hope's wedding. Donna is very excited for her and Liam. Eric is too. They chuckle as Beth does the honors. Eric reminds Donna that he does not feel like going. She understands that he has dealt with the press and the paparazzi extensively, yet he'll be missed. Donna appears frightened as they embrace. Brooke informs Ridge at Forrester that he did the right thing when it comes to Eric. It is evident how much he adores his father. She's confident Eric will keep busy with panels and conferences. Ridge now has the opportunity to make his name in the world of couture. Ridge grins and expresses gratitude for her support. He can't forget his father walking away with a stapler. Now he's unsure whether he made the correct decision. Sheila is perplexed by Deacon's refusal to ask her to his daughter's wedding. They are married. Deacon assures his wife that he tried to speak with Hope about it. Sheila wants his children to understand that they are united. Deacon apologizes, but he needs to do what his daughter wants. At Brooke's, Liam and Hope rave about Beth's efforts for their wedding. She will make an excellent officiant. Beth rejoices that they have reconnected as a family. According to Liam, they always have been and will be. Hope believes she is a miracle and promises to help with their remarriage tomorrow. Our wedding, Beth exclaims. Sheila peered at the small square of glossy cardboard on the table, as if it were a venomous creature waiting to strike. It wasn't even hers. It wasn't written to her or meant for her, but it landed on her kitchen counter as a final confirmation of something she'd been avoiding, an obvious reminder of her exclusion. I'm hoping for Logan's wedding. To Liam Spencer, of all people. And Sheila Carter, the groom's biological mother-in-law, grandma to the groom's daughter, and a woman who had worked her way back into some precarious, miserly acceptance, was not on the guest list. Obviously, she wasn't. However, knowing it was not the same as seeing it. Sheila's jaw constricted. Her nails grated on the marble surface as she brought the invitation closer. It was tasteful, with soft blush and gold foil, exactly what Hope would choose. Too flawless, too elegant, too indicative of the fantasy existence Hope had always created for herself and miraculously maintained, despite the carnage around her. Liam's name appeared prominently in the same looping font. And the setting, oh, it was lovely. Somewhere pricey. A vineyard far enough from Los Angeles to be inconvenient, but exclusive enough to make being on the guest list feel like an honor. A privilege denied to her. Sheila inhaled hard. Her nose flared. Her heart thudded with humiliation, wrath, and something she hated to admit. Hurt. She expected to be excluded. However, she believed there was at least a facade of civility. She wished someone, anyone, had had the courtesy to say something to her directly. Finn, perhaps. Or even Steffi. Or Liam, if he'd grown a spine since the last time she pushed him into a corner emotionally. But no. Even it was beyond her means. Instead, the invitation was addressed to Finn and Steffi and sent to their home. And Finn, bless his overly honest soul, had accidentally left it in her kitchen earlier today when swinging by on his way to work. A minor slide. A tiny oversight. He presumably expected she would not snoop. Perhaps he assumed she already knew. She did not. And nothing about the oversight seemed small. She stood there for several long seconds before forcing herself to breathe, stroking a shaking hand over the invitation as if it would calm her nerves. I see, she said quietly, as if no one else could hear her. So that's the way it is, she said, not feeling resigned. Not remotely. Sheila Carter was many things, many bad things, as her critics frequently reminded her, but she was not someone who slid quietly into the background. She was not someone who accepted exclusion without question. Especially not from family gatherings. Especially not when the event included her son's convoluted history and her granddaughter's future. Leaving her off the guest list was a statement. A noisy one. And it demanded an answer. But first, she wanted to determine who was to blame. Her eyes narrowed. Of course, she could make guesses. Hope would take the high road as she usually did. She would smile sweetly and discuss boundaries and emotional safety. Liam would insist it was never his decision. Brooke Logan would not hide her displeasure, and she would not hesitate to admit that she had been the one to insist on keeping Sheila out. But Steffi Forrester would luxuriate in it. Steffi relished every moment of Sheila being kept on the periphery, undesired and inconsequential. Sheila felt her wrath simmer with the thought. But underlying the rage lied an even more unsettling realization. Steffi had a point. Sheila had given her every reason to remain at arm's length. People needed numerous bullet points and, on occasion, an intermission when listing Sheila's past transgressions. But hadn't Sheila attempted to change? She had worked extremely hard this time. Truly and sincerely. At least she convinced herself she did. Her thoughts drifted uninvited to Finn. Her son had been the one thing in her life worth changing for. The one person who inspired her to be better. She had nearly lost her kid, then lost him again, and then miraculously retained him in her orbit. Not close, not really trusting, but not completely gone. If she wasn't on the guest list, how did Finn feel? Has he noticed? Did he really care? Had he taken part in the decision? Sheila's animosity melted when she heard that question. Finn was not cruel. He was not vengeful. If he took part in the decision, it was only because he felt pressured. Steffi insisted. Because he was once again caught between two universes. Just as always. Sheila exhaled gently and leaned against the counter for support. Her pain was real, deep, scorching, humiliating, but behind it came clarity. She needed answers. She needed them now. Finn was not expecting the call. That much was clear from the uncertain tone in his voice when he picked up. Mom? Is everything okay? Sheila closed her eyes. There it was, that instinctual worry she still instilled in him. A reminder that no matter how far they had come, her existence in his life was still vulnerable. Everything's fine, she said calmly. I just wanted to ask you something.
Sure.
There was a tiny shuffle on his end. He was most likely in a supply closet or hallway. Not the emergency room. It was too quiet. She wasn't at home. She didn't hear the children's voices or Steffi's disapproving sighs in the background. I looked at the invitation you left here, Sheila responded, trying to maintain a neutral tone. For Hope and Liam's wedding. There's a long silence. A prolonged pause. Oh, Finn replied gently.
Right.
Sorry, I didn't mean to leave that behind. It's no problem, she replied. However, I couldn't help but notice something. Or rather, the lack of something. Another silence. Finn inhaled softly, making the sound barely audible through the receiver. Mom, I'm not on the guest list, she concluded for him.
There.
It was out. Saying it out loud didn't make it any easier. It made it sharper and more real. Finn did not respond quickly. When he finally spoke, his voice was soft yet strained. I know. The admission cut through her. You know, Sheila said. But you didn't tell me. Mom, it wasn't my decision. Sheila gripped the phone tighter. But you knew. I did, he said softly. And you didn't say anything.
I didn't know how, Finn admits.
I did not intend to hurt you. Things have been complicated. Sheila laughed bitterly as she referred to Steffi as the Forresters. Always the Forresters. Mom, Finn murmured with concern. Sheila pushed the heel of her hand to her forehead. I simply want to understand. Was it Hope? Liam? Brooke? Was it Steffi who ensured I wasn't invited? There's silence. In solitude, Sheila discovered her solution. Her voice remained steady. I see. Mom, please. No, Sheila interjected. I understand, Finn. I really do. They are defending themselves. They're defending their ideal of a great day. I understand. That isn't fair, Finn said gently. It is not about perfection. It's all about boundaries.
History.
What about safety? Sheila's voice cracked like a whip. Do you really think I'd ruin Hope's wedding? Do you believe I would damage your relationship with her family or with yourself? No, Finn replied promptly. I don't think so. Not anymore. But they do. And that was the bit that hurt the most. Because he was correct. Sheila gulped hard. I appreciate your honesty. I didn't want this to hurt you, but it does. Mom, I'm not angry with you, she added calmly. I promise. This isn't your fault. Finn sighed again, sounding both relieved and anxious. What are you going to do? Sheila returned her attention to the invitation on her counter. I am not sure yet, but I am not going to make things harder for you. Or for Hayes. Or even for Steffi. She stopped. I just needed to hear the truth. Thank you, Finn said softly, for handling this the way you are. However, Sheila was not handling it. Not really. Not below the surface. They eventually hung up, Finn vowing to call again later, and Sheila trying to seem calm. When the line went dead, she remained immobile for a long time. The kitchen seemed too quiet, too still, too empty. A weird aching developed in her chest, not wrath, not yet, but deep sorrow. A feeling of being constantly on the outside, looking in. Of seeking salvation and finding the route blocked by locked doors and guards at the entrances. She blinked quickly, angry to feel her eyes burn.
Why was she so surprised?
This was her life. Actions have consequences. And her past cast a long shadow, one that no good deed could ever completely remove. But suffering differed from defeat. Sheila Carter did not crumple. She strategized. And this was no different. 2 days had passed before she made her next move. She did not rush. She did not storm anywhere. Instead, she noticed. She listened. She approached every situation in the same way she always had, carefully, intelligently, and recklessly. And when she did act, it was with precision. The opportunity arose when she overheard a conversation by chance, or what appeared to be an accident, as Sheila never believed in coincidences. She was in Il Giardino, sitting at a quiet corner table, sipping coffee that she had no intention of finishing. The restaurant was filled with the normal noon conversation, but above it came the distinct cadence of Brooke Logan's voice. "Thank God Steffi put her foot down," Brooke said. "Liam believes it is for the best. We don't need Sheila Carter anywhere near that ceremony." Sheila froze. Brooke continued in a smug tone. "Today should be a peaceful day.
Have a safe day.
A harmonious union, not a circus. Hope doesn't need that woman lurking around, ruining everything." Sheila's blood rose. It wasn't simply words. Brooke dismissed her with ease, as if she were not human, as if her existence were an annoyance, a threat, or a stain. "So, what about Finn?" Another voice inquired, Katie's, quiet yet penetrating. "He'll understand," Brooke replied.
He understands who Sheila is.
"He understands the hazards. And, frankly, he should be grateful that we are keeping her away from the wedding. It also safeguards his marriage." Sheila gently leaned back in her chair, allowing the conversation to wash over her like a frigid wave. So it was Brooke. Brooke, at the very least, contributed significantly to her exclusion.
Of course she did.
And Sheila recognized something harsh and clear. They didn't just fear her. They enjoyed excluding her. They enjoyed it. The truth hit her harder than she expected. She'd been deluding herself by believing she could ever be tentatively accepted, even at arm's length. The Logans and Forresters would not let her forget her past. They would never view her as anything other than the villain, the menace, the shadow on the horizon of their idyllic picture book existence. They had ignored her attempts at redemption. Her restraint meant nothing. Her growth went unnoticed. They only saw the Sheila they expected to see. If that was the case, why was she attempting to be something else? Her eyesight focused, her spine straightened, and something inside her shifted into place. Not fury, revenge, or instability, but determination.
Clear.
Steady.
Potent.
Sheila Carter was continually taking action. Always. But this time, she was not intending havoc. She did not intend to use violence. She did not intend to destroy anything. She was planning clarity.
A chat.
A confrontation, perhaps? However, it is based on reality rather than threat. She owed it to herself to speak her mind. Then, and only then, would she decide whether to back away or step in. I hope Logan didn't anticipate Sheila to show up at Forrester Creations. Hope may have thought it was more possible to rain diamonds than for Sheila Carter to emerge unexpected, unarmed, and unagitated when she glimpsed her through the glass doors of the design office. Hope put down the sketch pad she had been holding.
"Sheila."
She lifted her chin. Hope. Her voice was not aggressive. No warmth either. Simply peaceful clarity. Hope sucked up. She glanced around uneasily, possibly to see if anyone else was close. "Is everything okay?" "Not exactly," Sheila replied. "I will not take up much of your time. I just wanted to ask you something." Hope hesitated before nodding. "Okay," Sheila said, stepping inside and closing the glass door behind her. Her voice was level. "I saw the wedding invitation, and I noticed I wasn't on the guest list." Hope's shoulders tightened. "Sheila, I'm sorry you found out that way." "So, it was intentional?" Sheila asked gently. Hope appeared pained. "It was not a personal attack." Sheila repeated. It was a boundary. "One that everyone agrees on?" Hope paused again. "We discussed it as a family."
"Friends."
That word stings. She was often denied this term. "I see," Sheila replied. "Has anyone considered how that decision might affect Finn? Or Hayes? Or even me? Given that I've made every single attempt to demonstrate that I'm not the person I formerly was?" Hope took a step closer, her expression full of empathy and resolution. "Sheila, I believe you've been trying. I see it. However, a wedding is an emotional and delicate occasion. Liam and I wanted to keep things simple. Peaceful." Sheila responded. "You think I'm unpredictable?"
Hope didn't respond.
Her quiet conveyed plenty. I'm not here to threaten you, Sheila added. I'm not here to demand anything. I only needed to hear your arguments.
Directly.
Hope nodded, happy that the conversation had not escalated. It wasn't meant to hurt you.
But it did, Sheila said.
It does. Hope's expression was real regret. Sheila looked at her and said, I'm sorry. I really examined her. Hope Logan, the lovely, sensitive, and endlessly optimistic Hope, meant what she said. She was not malicious. She was not cruel. She was defending her day, family, and tranquility. Sheila recognized something unexpected. She understood. She really did. Thank you for your honesty, Sheila murmured quietly. And for hearing me out. Hope blinked, astonished. Of course. Sheila offered a small nod and turned toward the door. She had almost left the office when Hope spoke again. Sheila?
She paused.
I appreciate the way you're handling this, Hope replied kindly. Sheila did not grin as she said, I really do. Even so, something inside her relaxed. She went away without saying another word. And for the first time since she saw the invitation, the pain in her chest subsided, not removed, forgiven, or forgotten, but softened. She could live with it. She could accept not being invited. She was able to accept boundaries. She was able to accept distance. She was not defeated. She was just diverted.
And it was enough. For now.